My son stealthily entered my room while I lay vulnerable in a deep slumber, completely unclothed. As I watched my husband, Thomas, leave for work, a wave of fatigue washed over me. The relentless hours spent cleaning and managing the chaos of the house had drained every ounce of energy from my body. I sank into the couch, desperate for a brief escape, but the weight of exhaustion clung to me like a shroud. At the stroke of 24, a sharp knock echoed through the silence. Ethan was at the door. He had transformed into a striking young man, but recently, an unsettling shift had taken hold of him. It was subtle, yet undeniable the way he gazed at me, a piercing intensity that sent shivers down my spine, a look that held secrets I couldn't decipher. He had always been the quiet, respectful type, and today was no different. At least on the surface, but beneath that calm exterior, a storm was brewing, ready to unleash chaos at any moment. "Anna, you look utterly exhausted," Ethan remarked as he stepped inside, his voice a gentle whisper laced with concern. He halted, a heavy silence enveloping the air, as if grappling with the tempest of thoughts, before finally nodding. "I know precisely where the pain lies." Ethan settled behind me. His presence behind me felt heavy, almost overwhelming, as he offered to help ease my exhaustion. "Is there anything I can do to assist?" I inquired, a fragile smile barely gracing my lips. My eyelids felt heavy, weighed down by sheer fatigue. "A back rub would be nice if you don't mind," I murmured, attempting to find solace. Yet, as his hands pressed into my back, an unsettling intensity lingered in his grip, sending shivers down my spine. It wasn't the innocent touch I once received from him in his youth. Now, as his fingers glided lower along my back, an undeniable tension surged through the air, thick with unspoken words that sent my heart racing. "Better," Ethan's voice dropped to a hushed tone, a chilling whisper that sent a tremor through me as he leaned in. The closeness of his presence unsettled me deeply, sending a chill through my body, igniting a primal instinct to flee. I nodded, yet tension knotted every fiber of my body. An urgent warning echoed within me, urging me to pull away, yet I remained frozen, my mind spiraling in a frantic search for answers as his hands lingered, the unsettling warmth of his touch igniting a storm of unease. His words lingered ominously, and before I could muster a response, his fingers descended, paralyzing me in place. "You've been so strong. Anna, you deserve to feel something more." I fought against the tempest raging within my chest, desperately convincing myself that I was merely overthinking it all. Yet Ethan's touch ignited a fire that felt undeniably different. My heart raced violently in my throat as his hands lingered on my back, and the walls of the room closed in, suffocating me with tension. My heart raced wildly, each beat echoing in my ears. Yet I found myself unable to retreat as his fingers inched closer, their movement deliberate and charged with an intensity that felt far too intimate for the moment. "Anna, you deserve to relax," Ethan murmured, his voice a sultry whisper that hung in the air, thick with unspoken tension. "You constantly sacrifice everything for others. Just let me take care of you for once." A surge of conflict raged within me. One part screamed to halt him, to declare that his behavior was all wrong, while the other, the one that had been silenced for far too long, yearned to surrender. I found myself nodding, lost in a tempest of emotions, unsure of what else I could possibly do. His hands descended lower, gliding down my back, grazing over sensitive spots that sent waves of tension coursing through me. My skin writhed beneath his touch, a visceral reaction that sent shivers down my spine. I struggled to draw in a breath, desperate to clear my mind amidst the chaos swirling around me. Was it a mere figment of my imagination, Anna, or was he daring to push the limits? I fought against the urge to be the one who constantly turned away, the one who pushed back against every hand extended in kindness. For a fleeting moment, I allowed myself to be swayed by his words, caught in a whirlwind of doubt and longing. Ethan's voice had dwindled to a mere whisper, a haunting sound that sent shivers down my spine as I sensed him drawing nearer, the tension thickening in the air. His breath, a searing whisper against the back of my neck, sent a jolt of electricity through me, and I stood paralyzed, unable to respond. Why couldn't his hands descend once more? I trembled as the heat of his touch ignited a fire beneath the fabric of my shirt, dangerously close to a boundary I wasn't certain I was ready to cross. Now it felt as if the very air around us crackled with tension, his presence enveloping me like a storm, impossible to ignore. There were no more boundaries, and then he suddenly uttered a phrase that sent shockwaves through my entire being, leaving me trembling uncontrollably. "Anna, I've always admired your strength and grace, a force that captivates and enchants all who behold it. I've been watching you closely, Did you feel the pulse-pounding intensity of this gripping tale filled with hidden truths and escalating suspense? If so, brace yourself for more thrilling infidelity tales by sharing and subscribing for gripping stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat, leaving you questioning everything. His words echoed in my mind, each syllable striking like a thunderclap, leaving me reeling and unable to process their weight. What did he utter? I twisted my head, desperate for a fleeting glimpse of Ethan's face. But his grip on my back was unyielding, anchoring me in place with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. His eyes burned with a dark intensity, and the calm facade he usually wore shattered, revealing an unsettling depth that left me utterly bewildered. It was as if I was trapped in a relentless nightmare, one from which I could never escape. Anna, I desperately want you to experience the depths of joy. You have earned every bit of it. The air crackled with an unbearable tension, wrapping around me like a vice, and every fiber of my being screamed for escape. Yet, my body betrayed me. Rooted in place, paralyzed by an overwhelming force I couldn't comprehend, I found myself paralyzed, trapped in a moment of sheer terror. My mind raced, caught in a whirlwind of uncertainty, paralyzed by the weight of indecision. Then, as if he could feel the weight of my uncertainty pressing down on us, Ethan seized the moment and made a fateful decision. When he uttered the words, "Don't worry, Anna," a heavy silence fell between them, charged with unspoken fears and the weight of uncertainty. "I promise I won't cause you any pain." His words pierced through me like ice, sending a shiver coursing through every fiber of my being. His voice carried a haunting intensity that unleashed a torrent of dread within me. The searing heat of Ethan's breath brushed against my ear, igniting a whirlwind of uncertainty within me, leaving me paralyzed, unsure of how to react. His words loomed ominously in the air, yet I was paralyzed, unable to face him. It was as if time had come to a grinding halt, the walls of the room closing in around us, locking us in a suffocating tension that neither of us dared to break. Uncertainty gripped me, a suffocating weight pressing down as I teetered on the edge of comprehension. Was I still grappling with the chaos, or had I succumbed to a chilling numbness that dulled my senses? In that moment, it felt as though nothing else mattered, the air thick with an electric charge of impending doom. I drew a shaky breath, desperately seeking steadiness, and Ethan halted, yet my voice quivered with intensity. It was not merely a command, it was a desperate plea, yet he pressed on, unyielding. He barely reacted. Instead, as his fingers glided further down my back, tracing the curve of my spine, a jolt of electricity surged through me when his hand lingered lower than appropriate, stirring a deep sense of discomfort within me. My skin seared with an unbearable heat, and my heart thundered violently in my chest. I longed to scream at him to halt this chaos, yet my voice betrayed me, trapped in silence. Ethan's fingers moved, his presence was oppressive, and every movement made the atmosphere even heavier, his touch almost hypnotizing, drawing me deeper into a whirlwind of emotions. "Anna," Ethan whispered once more, her voice a haunting murmur, thick with an unsettling tension that hung in the air. "You are worthy of experiencing true joy. You've always been the unwavering pillar for everyone around you. Don't you crave the exhilarating rush of feeling positive for yourself?" I yearned to unleash a piercing scream to drive him away, yet my body remained paralyzed, trapped in a suffocating stillness. It was as if I were ensnared in my own flesh, desperately yearning to escape his suffocating hold, trapped in a torment that clawed at my very soul. I felt Ethan's hands freeze, his fingertips hovering over my skin as he spoke again, his voice now a seductive whisper, drawing me in with an irresistible allure. I couldn't bear to meet his gaze as his words ignited a slow, consuming blaze within me. I was paralyzed, unable to confront him, yet I could sense his piercing gaze drilling into me, scrutinizing every flicker of my expression. With each breath I drew, it felt as though he lingered in the shadows, poised for a moment, anticipating my surrender, yearning for me to dismantle the walls I had painstakingly erected over the years. The magnetic force of his presence was impossible to resist. There was an undeniable intensity in the way he spoke to me, a charged energy in his touch that rendered any thought of pushing him away utterly futile. My mind and body clashed violently, each grappling for dominance, yearning for an escape from this relentless turmoil. But then, just as abruptly as it had begun, Ethan halted his movements, withdrawing his hands. The tension in the room shattered like glass, leaving me gasping for air, my chest constricted, and my thoughts spiraling into chaos. I turned to face him, my eyes wide and filled with confusion, desperately searching his expression for any sign, any explanation that could unravel the chaos swirling within me. Yet, there was nothing, only a chilling, composed gaze that deepened the unease, leaving a palpable tension in the air. Ethan's smile was a mask, his face deceptively calm, concealing the turmoil that churned beneath the surface as if the world around him had shattered into chaos. "Are you all right?" "Anna," I nodded, a storm of uncertainty raging within me. I was paralyzed, caught in a whirlwind of emotions, unsure whether the terror of what had just transpired or the ominous implications for the future gripped my heart more tightly. Yet, one undeniable truth gripped my soul. This moment, this overwhelming feeling, would linger in the shadows of my mind, tormenting me for an eternity. My heart pounded violently in my chest, yet the words remained trapped. A silent scream in the depths of my throat. Ethan rose, his arms stretching wide, a deceptive calmness enveloping him as if he had just emerged from a routine back rub. But beneath the surface, tension crackled in the air. His expression was a mask of casual indifference, as if he were merely going through the motions of yet another day. Oblivious to the storm brewing around him, I fixed my gaze on him, my heart pounding violently, each breath feeling like a weight pressing down on my chest. His abrupt shift in demeanor and unnerving calmness struck me like a thunderclap, a chilling realization washing over me. I should have commanded him to leave and never darken my doorstep again. Yet, I found myself utterly powerless. He appeared eerily calm, a facade that masked the storm brewing beneath the surface. "Are you absolutely certain?" The urge to scream at him consumed me, unleashing the torrent of emotions that had been building inside me. The agony, the dread, and the revulsion were overwhelming me, but the words were trapped, choking me from within. Anna Ethan responded. "You're okay." Her voice, though steady, carried an undercurrent of tension that hung in the air like a storm about to break. She spoke in a stark and unyielding manner, as if the weight of the world had not just shifted beneath their feet. He was toying with my emotions, but I assured myself I was fine. I struggled to maintain a smile, even as the suffocating burden of recent events threatened to crush me from within. Even as the bitter truth clawed at my throat, I finally forced the lie out, its acrid flavor lingering in the air. I was compelled to escape that room, to break free from his suffocating presence. But Ethan was far from done. His predatory, glittering eyes were a chilling reminder of the darkness within him. As before, his presence was suffocating, a weight that pressed down on every breath. You don't have to mask the turmoil beneath the surface. "Speak to me." I rose to my feet, forcing a facade of confidence, concealing the turmoil that had just rattled me to my very essence. Just as I was about to reach for the door, Ethan suddenly stepped in front of me, blocking my path with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. He was obstructing my desperate journey to Anna. His voice dripped with a low, seductive intensity that sent shivers down the spine. Yet, an ominous force lurked just beneath the surface, pulling with an unsettling intensity. "I am here for you, ready and waiting." I fought to push past him, but he stepped closer, his posture blocking my path in a way that made escape feel impossible. The contact was barely audible, a fleeting brush that sent shockwaves through the air. But it jolted through me like a lightning strike. My heart raced violently as I glanced down at his hand, fear gripping me, unable to summon the courage to meet his piercing gaze. I felt an overwhelming urge to scream at him to release his grip, to flee from my presence, yet my body betrayed me, refusing to obey my desperate commands. A chilling sense of paralysis gripped me, ensnaring me in this suffocating moment that seemed to stretch into eternity. "You need not conceal a single thing from me." His thumb pressed against my skin, a lingering touch that sent shivers coursing through me. "I can see the weight of the world pressing down on you. Anna, I can assist you, but the risks are more significant than ever. We will fight through this darkness together, igniting a spark of hope amidst the chaos. It shouldn't be this difficult." I felt an overwhelming urge to pull back, to force him away from me, but his grip tightened with a ferocity that sent a shiver down my spine, just enough to plunge me into a whirlpool of uncertainty and self-doubt. A wave of heat surged through my skin, igniting a fierce flush that consumed me. My body was a traitor, turning against me in ways that left me bewildered. I breathed the words softly, barely audible, as if the very air around me could shatter at the sound. My voice trembles, a desperate plea for release, if only for a fleeting moment. He stood there, his gaze piercing through me, as if he were dissecting my very soul, weighing every secret I held within. The tension in the air was palpable, a heavy shroud that threatened to engulf me, as if the very fabrics of reality was on the brink of unraveling, and I was too terrified to confront it. "No, Finally, he relented. He let me go. But the chasm between us felt smaller than ever. His smile was unnervingly serene, a facade that masked the storm brewing beneath the surface. "Anna," he whispered, his voice trembling with urgency. "I stand ready to assist." Driven by an unwavering resolve, there is no escape from this fate. "I'll be here, waiting, hoping someday you'll understand." He declared, "I will always be." With every ounce of determination, I forced myself to surge past him. My heart raced violently. But as I approached the door, his voice pierced the silence, echoing in the air with a haunting finality. Ethan's words, "You'll come back to me," echoed in my mind like a haunting refrain, relentless and unyielding. And even though the door loomed behind me, his words reverberated in my mind like a haunting vow I feared I might never escape. What could he possibly mean by that? What deep, tumultuous emotion did he yearn to ignite within me? I struggled to suppress the growing wave of uncertainty, fervently striving to write it off as a mere coincidence or a transient error in judgment. Yet, buried within the depths of my soul, an undeniable truth clawed its way to the surface. Demanding recognition, I understood that escape was my only option. Yet each time I believed I was regaining my grip, I plunged further into a vortex of chaos and uncertainty. The following morning, I awoke before dawn, restless and tormented, haunted by the lingering memory of Ethan's touch, the unsettling way his words had slithered over my skin, leaving me feeling raw and painfully exposed. It was morning when Anna Ethan greeted me with a smile that felt hollow, a facade that masked the turmoil brewing beneath the surface. A wave of turmoil surged within me, rendering me speechless. I simply nodded, maintaining a facade of normalcy. As the weight of the moment threatened to overwhelm me, I fought desperately to shake off the haunting thoughts, but they clung to me like a suffocating shroud as I made my way to the kitchen. A part of me yearned for Ethan to remain distant, yet there he was, seated at the breakfast table, his gaze locking onto mine with an unnerving serenity, as if he held all the answers and was merely biding his time for me to confront the truth. It suffocated the air around, making every sensation unbearably vivid and tangible. My mind raced, caught in a whirlwind of uncertainty, paralyzed by the weight of the moment. How might I find the appropriate words to respond? How could I possibly say no? Everything is unraveling. Something shifted between us that night, and I couldn't look at him the same way anymore. "Anna, you truly deserve that, don't you?" His tone dripped with the sickening sweetness, a calculated attempt to mask the manipulation beneath a veneer of false concern. However, I was deeply aware of the truth that was concealed beneath the surface. The words eluded me, slipping through my fingers like sand, leaving me in a suffocating silence. "I'm fine," I insisted, the words escaping my lips with a desperate urgency. I turned toward him, locking eyes with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. He scrutinized me, his expression a mask of inscrutability, before that same disquieting smile crept across his lips. My instincts roared for me to flee, and an icy shiver coursed down my spine. "I'm fine." "Ethan," I steadied my voice, infusing it with a resolve that masked the turmoil within. I refused to reveal the extent of his impact on me, the way his mere presence was unraveling my very beliefs, forcing me to confront the chaos brewing inside. I seized my coffee mug and stormed toward the living room, desperate for space, desperate for distance. But Ethan was relentless, refusing to let me escape so easily. He loomed in the doorway, his stance deceptively relaxed. Yet his gaze burned with an unsettling intensity. "You cannot escape this, Anna." He spoke, his voice dropping to a low, almost haunting whisper. "I can sense the fire that ignited between us last night, and I can feel your yearning for what lies ahead." The weight of his words slammed into me, paralyzing me. My heart raced with urgency. My mind surged with frantic thoughts, desperately seeking a way to refute his chilling suggestion. Yet silence enveloped us, thick and suffocating, as his words lingered like a toxic fog in the air between us. I refused to listen to this, I declared, my voice quaking despite my desperate attempts to maintain control. "You must flee." Ethan's eyes momentarily plunged into darkness, but then he let out a low, mocking chuckle, as if savoring every agonizing moment of my unease. "There is no way out of this, Anna. Our fates are intertwined now, whether you accept it or not." The suffocating tension became unbearable, pressing down on me like a vice, and I felt I could no longer endure it. My mind whirled, and my heart pounded fiercely against my chest. This was a reality I could no longer evade. This is no longer the case. But could I truly confront him? Was it possible to escape the suffocating grip he had on my very soul? Just as I was poised to respond, a chilling creak echoed through the air. The front door swung open, shattering the tense silence. My heart raced, pounding violently against my chest. Could it have been Robert? My husband, are you returning from the chaos of the day? A wave of relief crashed over me, yet a gnawing anxiety clawed at my insides. What if he had already sensed the electric tension crackling between us? Robert exclaimed. Hey everyone. His eyes flickered between us, filled with a palpable sense of dread. Is everything all right in here? A flicker of a smile escaped my lips, but it felt like a fragile mask over a storm of emotions brewing inside me. Yes, everything is fine, I said, keeping my voice steady despite the raging storm within me. However, Robert detected my deceit immediately. He advanced, his gaze fixated on Ethan, completely disregarding my presence. Are you certain? You both seem a bit unhinged, he asked, his expression transforming into a facade of innocence, concealing the storm brewing beneath the surface. Everything is under control, Uncle Robert insisted, his voice laced with an unsettling tension. Just spoke with Anna, and the tension in her voice was palpable, a storm brewing beneath the surface. But thankfully, nothing catastrophic. Robert nodded, yet the flicker of doubt in his eyes betrayed a storm of turmoil within him. A palpable tension hung in the air as he locked eyes with me, an unsettling awareness flickering in his gaze. For the first time, I felt the suffocating grip of entrapment closing in from every direction. Ethan's grip on me intensified, and the days that ensued spiraled into a chaotic haze, whether I welcomed it or not. A sinister seed had been sown deep within my mind, spiraling and contorting everything into a shadowy and unsettling presence each time our eyes met. A shiver raced down my spine, yet escape from him felt utterly impossible. He loomed in every corner, his demeanor a chilling facade, masking the turmoil that simmered beneath the surface. He would smile at me with an unsettling calmness that sent shivers down my spine, and all I could do was muster a stiff, forced smile in response, my heart racing with dread. I started to evade him, concocting elaborate excuses to escape the confines of my home, burying myself in long hours of work, all while desperately pretending to be engrossed in anything but the sinister trap he was weaving around me. Yet, no matter how fiercely I tried to distance myself, his presence loomed ominously in the shadows of my thoughts, poised and ready for the moment I would falter and succumb. It was only when I staggered through the door, weary and burdened from a long meeting, that the world I knew began to unravel. I stepped into the house, bracing myself for the familiar silence, but an unsettling tension hung in the air, signaling that something was profoundly amiss this time. The lights flickered ominously, the television emitted a low, unsettling hum, and an overwhelming sense of dread washed over me instantly. As I entered the living room, the atmosphere shifted. Ethan lounged on the couch, his demeanor seemingly calm, but the moment our eyes locked, an electric tension crackled in the air. "Anna, you're home late," he said, his voice laced with concern and a hint of urgency. His voice dripped with an unsettling intensity that sent shivers down my spine. I stood paralyzed, a chilling wave of isolation crashing over me as I grasped the stark reality of our solitude within the house. Robert had toiled into the depths of the night, and while I should have felt a sense of relief, the atmosphere around me was heavy and oppressive, wrapping around me like a vice. "You know you can drop the facade, Anna. I know things have been tumultuous between us." My breath hitched in my throat, my heart pounded violently. Yet I remained frozen, paralyzed by fear, unable to look away. "What do you mean?" Ethan's smile curled at the edges, a sinister twist that sent a chill down the spine. I was compelled to complete the task at hand, my voice trembling as I fought to maintain a semblance of control. "I know what you're truly thinking," he hissed, his voice dripping with a chilling mockery. "You've been dodging me, haven't you?" he asked with a smile that pierced through the air, sending a chilling shiver down my spine, leaving me feeling like vulnerable prey, ensnared and laid bare. "You're terrified!" "What haunts you?" My mind spiraled into chaos, my breath quickening as he lingered in silence, then declared, "You can't escape it forever, Anna." I stand resolute, unwavering in my commitment to myself, now and forever. We've accomplished it at last, trembling at the thought of our potential actions. "Anna," he whispered, his voice trembling with an unexpected tenderness that pierced the heavy silence, almost like a desperate plea for connection. "You need not struggle against this. You can stop the charade. I see the desperation in your eyes, the burning desire that consumes you. I had to escape before the situation spiraled further into chaos." But as I attempted to retreat, Ethan surged forward, a formidable barrier standing between me and freedom. His body was dangerously close, and I could feel the searing heat radiating from him, igniting a fire within me. I longed to scream for help and push him away, yet my body betrayed me, paralyzed in terror. His hand shot out, brushing my arm with a jolt of electricity that surged through my veins, while his words ensnared me like an enchantment, casting shadows of doubt over everything I believed. He leaned in, his voice a low, urgent whisper. "I know you're terrified, but it's going to be all right. You can trust me." For a fleeting moment, doubt flickered in my mind, my heart racing as a storm of conflicting thoughts surged within me. Could I truly place my faith in him? Was there a part of me that was too fragile to withstand the truth? Or was I merely falling prey to his deception? The tense silence shattered violently as the front door creaked open. I nodded, yet my thoughts were consumed by Ethan, a whirlwind of uncertainty swirling around us both. The rest of the night unfolded in a chaotic whirlwind as I lay in bed, my mind a tempest fueled by Ethan's haunting words. The intensity of that night lingered in my mind, a shadow that refused to fade away. Robert Ethan swiftly retreated, his demeanor shifting in an instant to that facade of calm innocence, as if he were merely conversing with Anna. His voice flowed with an unsettling ease, but I sensed that he would no longer